some of you are still not in your seats, so if you can make it to a place to sit down, and we got plenty of seats up front, that would be wonderful. Thank you for those who are making their way to their seats. Let the church say amen. All right, to your seats, please. When I worked at the summer camp for family camp, one of the things we would have to do for the kids would say, hands up, hands up. Thank you. Y'all been there before. Good evening and welcome to the State of the City address. Yeah, I love it. It is my honor to be able to introduce Mayor David LaGrand to you this evening, a true servant, a leader who dedicated himself to making our community better. And I remember a time when I had to call on some legal help for one of my young members in high school, and David came to the rescue on behalf of this young man. He was an attorney that used his skills, and he championed the person who did not have a voice to be heard, who was just doing some silly adolescent stuff. Now he brings that same passion as the mayor, seeking to empower our community and create an opportunity for all. With the heart of a servant and a commitment to progress, Mayor LaGrand is ready to lead the city forward where everyone has enough and nobody's afraid. Isn't that the kind of community we all want to live in? Amen. Yes. So please help me welcome Mayor David LaGrand as he comes up to take his place.
Wow, it is so great to be in a room of friends. Thank you all for being here tonight. It really means something that you've taken your time this evening to come together, not just to listen, but to think about our city. And I was so glad to hear all the conversations that were hard to stop, because that's what tonight's about. That's what this gathering is about. This isn't just a report. This is a moment for shared reflection and a chance to look ahead together. I want to begin with gratitude. So thank you to all of the sponsors who have made this evening possible. The list is up there, the impressive list. Many of, amen. And many of you have supported this event for years, and that's the kind of steady commitment that's part of what makes Grand Rapids strong. Years ago, I remember Mayor Hartwell making this point at one of his State of the Cities that bears repeating, and that's that these sponsors let us put this event out without any taxpayer dollars being spent. That is a real civic virtue. So thank you to the sponsors. I also want to thank my colleagues on the City Commission, Commissioners Yasasi, Knight, Perdue, Kilgore, and Belcheck. The six of us share a responsibility that is both simple and demanding: to listen to our residents, on understanding what matters most to them, and to turn that into real action. So thank you for your partnership, your thoughtfulness, and your work. I also want to thank our state and federal elected partners who are here or who have representatives here. Now, I know that my longtime friend Representative Phil Skaggs is here, and my longtime friend Representative Carol Glanville is here, and my friend Christian Grant was going to be here. I'm not sure if she's here or not. She's here? Right on. So thank you to the three of you who I've seen and said hi to two of the three of you already. But if anyone is here representing an office, I know that, for example, Congresswoman Skolten couldn't be here, and I know that there's represented the mayor's office, pardon me, the governor's office, the mayor's office. But if you could stand for a moment and be recognized, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. And I want to thank our city leadership and staff. Thank you, City Manager Mark Washington. Thanks to our interim city attorney, Phil Strom, our clerk, Joel Hondorp, and our treasurer, John Glebensky. And thanks to all our department heads, and before you applaud, all of the thousands of people who serve our city every day as employees. You do this work because you believe that public service matters, and you are a big part of what makes Grand Rapids great. So thank you all. And finally, I want to thank all of the mentors, coaches, colleagues, civic-minded friends who have given me feedback and positive criticism in the last year. The list of those folks runs to the hundreds by now. You know who you are. No, I mean, I'm a collaborative guy. I need help, I need counsel, and I need input, and I treasure it. So thank you to all of you. And I also want to particularly thank Melissa, my wife, and Laura and Tiana on my team for making it possible for me to get through another 365 days or so of serving the city. So, it's been my first year as mayor, and I've learned a lot. I've stumbled at times, I've had to slow down, I've had to ask for grace, and for all of you, those who have extended that grace to me, I want to say thank you. I really appreciate it. It also means that I'm really aware that this year is just one part of a structure, our city, that spans space and time. In every city, in every State of the City event, we talk about 1 year, and we're looking at a building block, but it's also important to keep looking at the building and all of the buildings that make up our city. Cities aren't built in a year. We've made real progress in the last year on items that I highlighted last year, such as public safety, housing, neighborhood and city design, and all that progress is linked to solid plans for more. So let's talk about that. But it is also a particularly special year this year. It's the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States of America and the 175th anniversary of the founding of Grand Rapids. And so it's good for us to mark the occasion by taking some time to think about the why of our nation and our city, the proper spirit of both. So let's start by talking about what we're building in Grand Rapids, where we are and where we're going. Last year, LinkedIn, which is a company you've all actually heard of, ranked Grand Rapids as the #1 city on the rise in the United States. The #1 city on the rise. Now, that is a real recognition of something that we can all feel every day. We know we live here. There's energy in the city, there's growth, there's momentum. For a city to rise and to keep on rising, two things have to be true. We have to progress into the future, and we have to protect what works, the things that got us to this point. And in Grand Rapids, we are doing both. For every city, there has to be a foundation, and that foundation ultimately is public safety. When we talk about safety, we're not just talking about one thing. We're talking about reducing harm in all of its forms: crime, traffic accidents, emergencies, and everyday conflict. And in each of these areas, we are making steady progress. We're doing better in traffic safety. In the last year, we've installed almost 20 new flashing crosswalks, and the same number are planned for the coming year. When crosswalks are visible, they demand attention, drivers change their behavior, streets become safer, and over time, expectations shift. We're also redesigning our streets to calm traffic. We're adding traffic circles, narrowing lanes where it's appropriate, and we're working directly with neighborhoods in every ward to plan going forward to make our city's streets safer. This work is especially important for our children and our seniors, but really it's for all of us. And in the coming year, I want us to go even further. I've asked our streets team to lean into experimentation, to test ideas, to try new designs, and to adjust based on what works. For example, bike lanes. We know they have to be continuous, clearly marked, and better separated from traffic. We don't have to get everything perfect on the first try, but we do have to keep trying. A lot of our responses to emergencies, health, or accidental danger are handled by our amazing fire department. Under that team, under Chief Brown's leadership, that team is solid. So thank you to all of our firefighters. Now there's exciting news. New fire stations and our new fire training center will help us speed up our response times and keep our fire department the best in the state. You all may not know this, I never get sick of saying it, we are still the only ISO 1 rated force in Michigan. That's a designation, yes. That's a designation that doesn't just indicate excellence, it also saves us all money on our insurance policies. And I gotta tell you, it is truly inspiring for me every year to go to the firefighters' annual dinner and hear stories about rescues and lives saved. Our firefighters are taking care of us 24 hours a day. And of course, our police department continues to do difficult work in complex situations. The work we ask of our officers is not easy. They are often the first to respond in moments of stress, conflict, and danger. And as hard as it is, our first responders show up every day to do the work of public safety. For the past year, I've been on several ride-alongs with GRPD, and I've seen our officers treat our residents with respect, empathy, and concern, and I've seen their professionalism. In the coming year, I hope all of my colleagues and many of you are able to take advantage of a chance to do ride-alongs. These are opportunities that will give you real insight into how policing is delivered in our community, as well as a better understanding of our neighborhoods and the people that GRPD serves. And we're seeing results. Last year, shootings in our city were down 18%, and our officers took 481 illegally possessed firearms out of circulation. Auto thefts were down 27% in 1 year. Our social worker co-response team responded to 2,750 calls, and our crisis stabilization unit handled 368 cases in the city alone that were diverted from incarceration or emergency departments. All of that success is built on years of hard work. One of the most exciting developments in our public safety work this year is that after years of absence due to low staffing, we've reintroduced community police officers. These are folks who are going to be building relationships and trust in neighborhoods person by person. Because ultimately, trust is not built in a moment in an encounter. Trust is built over time, face to face. Now, at the same time, we know there's more work to do. This last year, we've seen incidents that have sparked real concerns about our policing policies and have also shown the limits of what our police force can do to intervene preventatively in crimes such as domestic violence. Those tragic cases underscore our need to continue hard conversations about how we can make our public safety programs maximize the safety of all of our residents equally and fairly, and how we deliver safety for all of our residents. Our commitment is clear. We will keep working, keep listening, and keep improving. One of the most important steps we can take in public safety is to prevent problems before they escalate. Not every problem is a crime, and not all police responses end in criminal charges. But unresolved conflicts can grow into serious harm, and conflicts can grow rather than dissipate. That's why I hope in the coming year we can expand our city's conflict resolution and mediation efforts. I look forward to discussing more support for this work with my colleagues and our city managers as we shape our coming budget. With additional resources in this area, we can work with residents to address ongoing issues and disputes before they turn into crises, and follow up on police referrals that don't rise to the level of needing further police response yet. This work fits our commitment to finding responses to public safety concerns that don't always involve calling 911. Because the best outcome after a conflict is not solving a crime. The best outcome is preventing a crime. Now, before I talk about our progress this last year in the built world of our city, I want to note for you two continuities that are real signs of our city's health. One of them is organizational, the other is institutional. Strong organization isn't a single person, it's a team. In the last year, our city attorney and our head of public services retired, and our police chief and our head of parks and rec moved to other communities. In each case, a good person stepped up to take on the work and keep us moving forward. That's a real sign of health and strength in our city. So thank you to our interim city attorney, Phil Strom, and to our interim police chief, Joe Trigg, for serving the city in those roles. And thanks to Laura Claypool and Wayne Jernberg for stepping up as heads of Park and Rec and Utilities Director. And thanks to Selma Tucker for stepping into new leadership role as our Community Development Director. On the 175th anniversary of Grand Rapids, it's worth remembering that for 123 of those years, we've been served by a great museum. Our city museum preserves our past. Yeah. Our museum preserves our past, it illuminates our connections to this place, it brings the wonders of the world to our city in traveling exhibits. And along the way, it's also partnered with GRPS to create a one-of-a-kind school. On April 16, we'll be cutting the ribbon on new connectivity between the museum and the river itself as a classroom and a visitor experience. And I want to remind you all that voters endorsed the museum's mission with a millage 10 years ago that's due for renewal this election season. For us to stay a city on the rise, the museum has to not just be our past, but also our future. Speaking of the river, I hope you'll all notice this week the great news that we finally got federal permission to begin real work on restoring the rapids to Grand Rapids. Again, a project that many people had long, persistent advocacy in, and I want to thank everyone who helped secure the over $11 million in initial federal funding for this work, and that's not all that's going to be spent. The city's putting money into. I'm looking at you, Mark. I am counting the days until I can drop my kayak in those rapids and get in some not good trouble. By the way, stay tuned because the river is now so closely tied to our exciting amphitheater and surrounding neighborhoods. This year we're going to be kicking off our first river and neighborhood spring cleanup on May 1 and May 2. So please consider signing up to volunteer for a shift so that in true Dutch fashion we can get this city really spick and span before our amphitheater opens. A lot of physical projects that were years in the making came to dramatic fruition this year, right? The Third Ward saw generational investment completed in the opening of the Martin Luther King Community Center. Another community center, the Hub on Kalamazoo, also opened. The Kendall Fire Station, which is the first new fire station in Grand Rapids in 37 years, also opened in the Third Ward. And of course, at the intersection of the First, Second, and Third Wards, we have a new amphitheater about to open in a few weeks. Paul Simon, if you're listening, we'd love to have you add us to your summer concert tour. You can crash at my house. So investments like the amphitheater and the soccer stadium going up a few blocks south of here are exciting in themselves. They give us more ways to have fun in our city. but they're also exciting because they're kernels for new neighborhoods, new businesses, new housing in places that were just surface parking lots or warehouses for salt just a few years ago. Maybe the best thing that I would say about the amphitheater and the soccer stadium is that they'll invite more people to visit our city, to find out what a great place it is, and maybe join us in living here. Everyone leaving after a great time at one of those venues will know, consciously or subconsciously, that if they lived here, they'd be home now. Private nonprofit partnerships have been on the move too. Just to pull out a couple examples, last month I was at the opening of an amazing affordable senior apartment project that Genesis Housing built over on Leonard Street. And many of you know that ICCF put an amazing housing development over in Seymour Square that opened this year. And I want to highlight that second because it's a great example of faith communities digging in and responding to our city's housing needs by transitioning church-held land and buildings to better uses. In this coming year, I'm going to give a shout out here to M Village. The M Village Housing Project is coming, and that is the brainchild of Messiah Baptist Congregational. It's really exciting, so thank you, Messiah. We know we need more housing in Grand Rapids, and we know that in past years our scale of building wasn't meeting the scale of need. But we are making real progress with massive private sector investment. This last year, permits were pulled for almost $1 billion worth of new investment. Now, I don't want to overstate that. It was actually $965,727,616.71. And we had nearly 1,400 new units permitted in the city, with about a third of those being affordable, which is great news. Last year, many of you know, we established a new land bank in Grand Rapids. This year, we received about 100 properties from the state land bank. We've already sold 10 of those to private folks, and we got another 20 that are under contract to go out to developers with real plans to build in the city. In the coming year, the land bank will begin the work of acquisitions so that we can reinforce our city's commitment to facilitating more and more affordable housing. Last year, we also convened an accessory dwelling unit task force. That was to work on the idea of how we can get small houses onto existing lots that can really increase our housing supply. That task force has now issued a report and recommended changes to our process, our zoning, and even to state building code. In the coming year, I hope we will make policies that will fit those recommendations and allow for construction of more new small housing units quicker and cheaper than we have in the past. We have ongoing work to do too in the housing of those who have the most need, individuals who have experienced long-term homelessness, and we know that building a workable model for complex care is the key to success here. The team that began by trying to house 100 and 100 has moved well past its original vision and is now renaming itself the Downtown Pathways Project. I'm happy to report that we're making real progress in this space. And when I say we, I mean an incredible partnership of philanthropic support, business leadership, city staff, community nonprofits, all working together to find pragmatic solutions and deliver results. This is such a large team effort that this is one where I'm reluctant to single out any one person or organization. The talent and the focus that I see devoted to this challenge by all the leaders involved is nothing short of amazing. Over the past 18 months, over 200 people in our community have been referred to complex care placements, and 95% of them are still in those placements, which is a success rate way above the federal average. Smart engagement on the granular details are moving this project forward, from proving that vouchers should be increased, to building relationships with landlords who serve this group, to setting specific actionable goals on a 90-day rhythm so that we make sure that the progress continues. A strong community with strong foundations can also act quickly in response to opportunity. This last year, the state launched a new program for mothers and young children called RX Kids and challenged communities to participate. I am truly ecstatic to be able to announce that Grand Rapids is working hard to ensure that the 49507 zip code neighborhoods will be in that list. Folks, I'm going to blow your minds. Through this program, mothers receive $1,500 during pregnancy, $500 a month during the baby's first 6 months to provide stability for the families. Let me tell you what that starts to look like. Early results from other communities: preterm births dropped by 18%. Low birth weight babies dropped by 27%. NICU admissions fell by nearly 30%. Families had a 91% decrease in evictions. Isn't that amazing? True partnership and vision got us to this place. Local philanthropic dollars will match state funding, and we should all thank Lysandra Gaddy and the Grand Rapids Community Foundation and Tracy Kaufman at the Kellogg Foundation for their leadership on this effort. I also want to lift up Dr. Mona Hanna for her leadership and our Mayor Emeritus Rosalind Bliss for bringing these partners together. And Senate Majority Leader Winnie Brinks for securing state funds. By investing in moms and babies in 49507, we're investing in a brighter future for Grand Rapids. Before I'm done talking about the city, I want to return to the building metaphor one more time. If a city needs a foundation to build on, it also needs mortar to hold everything together. The mortar of democracy is transparency. Without it, you can have a government, it just can't be a real democracy. It has to be something else, an autocracy, a plutocracy, a tyranny, but it can't be a democracy. Grand Rapids has made a long, persistent commitment to transparency, and this year, I extended that commitment. I hosted regular Mayor's Monday town halls focused on city policy. Since we began, we had 35 of those gatherings to talk about focused policy topics in each ward each month. Of course, town halls have their limits and weaknesses, since the loudest voices can dominate the conversation and soundbite reporting can trump coverage of good substantive conversations. My team's working with me to discern how we can best use Mayor's Mondays in the coming year to effectively give voice to policy explorations. As we move forward, I remain committed to the core idea that policy making should include as many willing voices as possible from the start, and focus and channel best ideas into best governance. On the transparency front this year, our commission also passed a financial disclosure policy that I believe is the best in the state. Voters always deserve to have the full confidence that their elected officials are working for the people when they're doing the people's work and not making decisions out of self-interest. The only way to be sure of that is to know where elected officials have financial interests and what sources of income they have. In Grand Rapids, we now require that disclosure. We know that our residents value transparency as their top concern for government, and I'm proud that as a city, we're taking action to make transparency our top concern too. And I want to thank all of my city commission colleagues for making financial disclosure a reality in our city. America's 250 years old this year. In Grand Rapids, we've linked that to celebrating our 175th birthday, since Grand Rapids, one can hope, is a representative part of America. What is America? In Ronald Reagan's final speech as president, he reminded us all that America is an idea. No other nation has as strong a claim to be organized around principles. At our beginning, for all of our flaws, we Americans dared to announce that all people had the right to life, liberty, and happiness. We declared that we were going to found a country to build that dream, and we paid a lot of attention to limiting government in order to make space for freedom. About 100 years later, we had a moral reckoning as a nation and realized that we needed government to intervene for freedom and to abolish the evil of slavery. So at the beginning of our second century, our understanding of the American dream grew to include two principles: that America was about equality, and that we should welcome everyone on earth yearning to be free to join us in our project of building a free and equal nation. We've never given up on trying to perfect that promise that we made ourselves in those first and second century American visions. Now, in our 3rd century, we're an urban nation, and I believe that a third moral principle is compelling and obvious, particularly to anyone who lives in a city. We are free and we are equal, but we are also interdependent. No one in a city survives without the help of others. Help ranging from snowplows and traffic lights to public safety officers and healthcare workers. That daily mutuality, if done right, honors our freedom, but also balances that freedom with giving our neighbors space and grace with an obligation to care for one another. We have to thread a commitment to equality with recognizing the need for differences. We must live out a commitment to real diversity of ideology, talent, interests, and outcomes, as well as race, religion, and gender. And beyond simply welcoming others, we have to include others because we need each other. So what can Grand Rapids bring to the table as a birthday present to America on its 250th birthday? Perhaps, as a friend of our city suggested to me recently, we can aspire to be a model. Let me paraphrase for you the full positive idea this friend expressed. Can we in Grand Rapids show the nation that we can act clearly and compassionately and build a city for everyone, while at the same time giving those who need help the help they deserve? Can you see anything wrong with that dream? I can't. Barack Obama famously reminded us there's not a liberal America or a conservative America, there's a United States of America. In exactly the same way, there's not a liberal Grand Rapids or a conservative Grand Rapids. We are one city together. So as we move, as we move into the future in strength, let's remember that we all need each other, and let's act like it. When we volunteer, let's notice that it made our day better too. When we see a problem, let's dig in for solutions and new ideas, and let's engage with other people to help solve it. When we plan, act, and build, let's make sure we ask ourselves, will this include everyone? Let's renew our commitments to independence and also celebrate and reinforce our interdependence. Thank you all.